They told you it was alchemy, that mysterious feeling where your heart races, your body tenses, and your mind keeps reproducing someone's voice, smile, or presence. They told you it was natural, that being intensely, almost obsessively, attracted to someone is a beautiful sign of connection, of desire, of life. But Carl Jung looked you straight in the eye and said, "No, it's not chemistry. It's not magic. It's your shadow." Sexual attraction, according to Jung, isn't just about love or physical compatibility. It's a psychological explosion, an explosion that often reveals more of your wounds than your desires, because being so attracted to someone that you feel helpless isn't love. It's projection. Jung believed that within each of us resides an unconscious opposite, the anima in men and the animus in women. These inner figures are not mere abstract ideas. They are emotionally charged forces that represent what we have repressed, denied, or never developed within ourselves. And therein lies the terrifying aspect. When you meet someone who reflects your soul or your animosity, your psyche lights up. It says, this person has everything you're missing. So you're not falling in love with them. You're falling in love with yourself, or rather, with that part of you don't know. This is why sexual attraction often seems rational. You may know that this person is unavailable, dangerous, manipulative, or even toxic, but attraction is stronger than logic. You feel addicted, tormented, bewitched. This is because your unconscious has taken them for perfection. Now imagine what this means in a world where seduction is used as a weapon, where we learn to imitate your deepest fantasies without even knowing it, where some women instinctively learn that to dominate a man, you must not attack him but reflect, become his unconscious desire. For if a man has never faced his inner self, if he has never looked in the mirror and asked himself, "Why do I want what I want?" then he does not choose. His wound chooses him. And if it knows how to play this role, consciously or unconsciously, he will abandon himself. He will call it love, but it is only a projection. It's not her, it's a mirror. Jung said something chilling. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemicals. If there is a reaction, both are transformed. But in the case of shadow-driven sexual attraction, the transformation is not always healthy. It can be obsessive and destructive. It can reduce a person to their mere desire. This is the darkest truth of attraction. We're not always attracted to someone who matches us. We're attracted to someone who completes our inner story. And sometimes that story is a tragedy. Maybe you're a man who never felt seen by his mother. So when you meet an emotionally cold woman who withholds her love and only gives it when you woo her, you feel alive. You think it's over, but in reality, you're trying to rewrite the past to win a lost childhood battle. This is the compulsion of sexual trauma, not always due to physical abuse, but to emotional patterns that never healed. The woman becomes your battleground. You're trying to win back what should have been freely given to you. And when she denies it, it hurts even more. So you desire her even more. Now let's turn the mirror on its head. There are also women who don't seek love but power. They don't want to be loved. They want to be pursued, stripped, obsessed. They use their sexuality as a weapon, not out of malice but out of pain. Their shadow has never received safe affection. So now she seeks domination through desire, and when a man falls at her feet, she feels alive until he demands emotional intimacy. Then she runs away because as soon as it becomes reality, the illusion disappears. Sexual attraction doesn't always equal connection. Sometimes it's a trap, a psychological one where your deepest, unmet needs disguise themselves as romantic desire. Carl Jung didn't say this to scare us away from desire. He said it to make us aware of it, to ask ourselves, who does my soul seek when my spirit sleeps? Who do I yearn for and why? Because if you never answer that question, you'll always choose the same person from hundreds of different bodies. You'll call it fate, but it's only your shadow pulling the strings. So here's a truth few can bear. Sometimes the person you desire most is the very one sent to destroy you. Not because they're evil, but because your subconscious wants to recreate your original wound, hoping you'll survive this time. That's not love, that's karma. And karma isn't punishment. It's repetition until you learn. That's the essence of part one. The darkness isn't in the other. It's in you. It's in what you project, what you pursue, and what you run from. Sexual attraction can be sacred, but only when you see the devil behind the curtain. It's only by asking yourself, is this love? Or am I trying to finish an unfinished story? That you think you're in control, that you choose who to flirt with, who to date, who to court. But what if every step you take in your love life isn't yours to take? Carl Jung warned us that the unconscious is always active. And the most dangerous thing is, you don't even know when he chooses you. I'll tell you a true story. There was a successful man who was emotionally intelligent and respected by everyone. But every time he fell in love, it was with a woman who rejected him emotionally. One woman left him for another. Another abandoned him after an intense intimacy. Another mocked him when he showed vulnerability. Different women, same story. Now logically, he knew these women weren't right for him. He even warned his friends, this isn't healthy for me. But he kept coming back. Why? Because his unconscious wasn't looking for love. It was looking to soothe his pain. You see, this man grew up with a distant and cold mother, a woman who showed him no affection, who made him feel invisible. So as an adult, his mind constantly searches for that same feeling, but with the hope of repairing it this time. He doesn't chase women. He chases the ghost of his mother. This is how sexual attraction becomes a vicious cycle. We're not addicted to the person. We're addicted to the wound they represent, to the hope of finally winning, of finally healing. And that's what Jung tried to warn us against. Sexual energy is one of the most powerful forces in the human psyche. It's not just about pleasure. It's about identity, security, power, and validation. And when this energy mixes with your deepest emotional pain, it becomes magnetic, explosive, but also dangerous. Now let's talk about women. Some are constantly attracted to emotionally unavailable men. Men who are charming, exciting, dominant, but cold, distant, and often cruel. They say things like, why am I only attracted to men who hurt me? Or I lose interest when a man is too nice. Sound familiar? It's not a personality flaw. It's a sign of emotional programming. Many of these women have learned, directly or indirectly, that love must be earned, that being ignored requires extra effort, and that rejection is a challenge. So as soon as a man shows indifference, attraction skyrockets. Why? Because the unconscious tells us so. Family pain. Let's try to resolve it this time. And whether or not this man knows how to use this dynamic consciously, it becomes his obsession. It's not love. It's inner chaos in search of a savior. But it doesn't end there. Let's get back to the situation. There are women, yes, modern women, who use this truth as a weapon, who understand that sexuality can control a man more than logic, not because they're bad, but because it works. They learn that denying themselves emotional availability while offering intense, physical seduction creates a bond stronger than most men can break. They imitate the man. They become the fantasy, not the real woman, and the more the man woos her, the more powerful she feels. It's psychological domination, but disguised as romance. Jung would say it's a projection trap. The man doesn't love her. He loves what she represents, his lost half. But that's where it gets terrifying. She doesn't love him back either. She loves control. She loves seeing him lose himself, because it gives him back something he lost long ago. Power, security, even revenge. This is the darker side of sexual attraction, where two people meet, not with open hearts but with broken mirrors, where intimacy isn't real, it's pure play, where both partners use each other to repair a bygone past. And the more intense it is, the more dangerous it is, because if you don't know your shadow, it will use attraction to drag you to hell smiling. Carl Jung didn't say this to discourage you from any relationship. He said it because true love cannot exist without conscience. You have to observe the people you're attracted to and ask yourself some disturbing questions. What do they remind me of from my past? Do I feel safe with them? Or am I just addicted? Am I being myself with them? Or a version they seem to want? Because here's the truth. Attraction isn't always a sign of compatibility. Sometimes it's a warning, a sign that your psyche is looking to end a relationship, not start a new one. That's why people often say, why do I always fall for the same guy? Or I knew I wasn't very good with them, but I just couldn't stop myself. The answer isn't logical. It's the subconscious. Jung's theory of individuation teaches us that we must integrate all our parts, the theme, the animus, the shadow, before we can truly choose. Otherwise, we are just puppets. Desire pulls the strings and we call it fate. So if you keep chasing unavailable women, emotionally manipulative men, or chaotic relationships driven by desire. You need to stop and ask yourself, what part of me is choosing this? And why do I feel at home? Until you answer that question, you'll keep waking up in the same emotional nightmare, only with another face by your side. Because the truth is, we're not attracted to people. We're attracted to emotions we've never resolved. And in this chaos, love becomes a battlefield. We don't attract what we desire, we attract what we are. And if you still carry wounds you've never healed, they will speak louder than your words, louder than your values, and louder than your logic. This is the darkest truth about sexual attraction. It's not about finding the right person. It's about understanding what your pain desires. Think about it. Most people think they fall in love with someone's qualities, their eyes, their voice, their intelligence, their energy. But what if you're actually falling in love with their pattern, that pattern that reflects your unfinished story, the one where you weren't chosen, the one where you had to beg for attention, the one where love was always out of reach? Jung warned us that if you don't make the unconscious conscious, it will dominate your life and you'll call it destiny. Let's imagine you're a man who constantly falls in love with emotionally intense and seductive women. Women who awaken something primal within you. You tell yourself it's alchemy, it's passion. But every time you end up feeling emotionally drained, confused and broken. It's not passion, it's possessiveness, son. You weren't falling in love with a woman. You were falling into your own shadow. Maybe you never felt truly powerful in life. Maybe you grew up believing your worth came from being indispensable. So now you're chasing women who reflect your deepest insecurity, the fear of not being good enough. And when they validate you, you feel like a god. But when they walk away, you feel insignificant. That's not love, that's addiction. Let's talk about women again. Some women constantly fall for emotionally cold and controlling men, men who withhold affection from you as if it were a reward. And every time he looks away, it's like a challenge. Maybe if I prove I'm good enough, he'll choose me. You weren't attracted to him because he's exciting. You were attracted to him because he reminds you of the man who never really saw you, your father. Your first heartbreak. So what's your mind doing? It's trying to finish the story. You hope this man will offer you the closure your father never did. But he won't, because he's not your father. And that's not healing. That's repetition. It's what Jung called a repetition compulsion. You recreate the pain over and over again until you finally become aware of it. And at that point, the spell is broken, because that's what most people never understand. Sexual attraction can be manipulated by trauma. The more familiar the wound, the more intense the desire becomes. We call it a spark, but it's actually a cry from the past. This is why the most toxic relationships are often the hardest to leave. Not because we love them, but because we're emotionally entangled, bound by the invisible threads of unhealed pain. You may be wondering, what's the solution? Do we have to give up on love? Are we eternally afraid of attraction? No. But stop believing that attraction is synonymous with alignment. Instead, become the investigator of your own desires. Ask yourself, why am I attracted to this person? What emotion does it evoke in me? Does this attraction come from a sense of fulfillment or from an emptiness? Because if your desire is born from a lack, it will always seek to fill a void. And that void will never be filled by another person, only by you. Jung believed that the path to true love begins with individuation, the process of integrating one's shadow, one's wounds, and one's projections. Thus, when you love, you don't cling, but you choose. Don't seek salvation in someone's arms, but in sharing their fullness. True love begins when you stop needing someone to fix your past and start living in the present. That's when sexual attraction shifts from chaos to clarity, because you're no longer chasing those who make you feel your trauma. You're drawn to those who reflect your healing, and that's the beauty of it. These people won't make you panic. They won't keep you up at night wondering if you're up to it. They will bring you calm, stability, and maybe even a little boredom at first, because your nervous system is so used to the storm. Peace is strange, but give it time, because peace isn't boring. It's strange until you make it your home. So the next time you feel a throb when you think of someone, ask yourself, is it excitement or disguised fear? For love doesn't always manifest itself. Sometimes it manifests as calm, security, truth. And this is the love Jung wanted us to discover. not the love shaped by fantasy, desire, or trauma, but the love born of the integration of the self. Love that doesn't lock you up, but sets you free. So before you fall in love with them, fall in love with the parts of you that still scream. Listen to them, heal them, and then choose love, not out of despair, but out of fulfillment. That's how you'll escape the dark truth of sexual attraction, not by rejecting desire, but by understanding its voice. If this video made you rethink your romantic history, if it made you uncomfortable, please give us a thumbs up so we know this content belongs. Share your biggest revelation below. And if you've ever loved someone who embodied your past pain, tell us how you broke that cycle. We're not just creating a channel, we're creating emotional revolutions. So subscribe and share with whoever you like. And remember, you don't attract what you desire, but what you haven't healed. Make that healing your power.